Good morning, African Stars International School learners. I am Teacher Mina, your pre-primary level 2 English teacher. Welcome to your third English e-learning lesson. Our topic for today is letters. We are still going to continue with letters as in our previous lesson. First, we are going to say the letters from A to Z again. We'll say the letters from A to Z again. Let's start. Can you say the letters with me? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now, these are our letters from A to letter Z. Okay, let's continue. Now, we are going to do this activity together in the class. It's not a homework. You're not going to do it alone. We are going to do it together in the class. Okay, let's start. The instruction says, circle the same letters as in the first box. Circle the same letters as in the first box. You are going to circle the letters as in the same box. This is our first box. All these letters which you can see, the ones in red, all these letters are in the first box. We are going to circle according to the rows or the lines. This is the first line. This one is the first line. This one is the second line. This one is the third line until the last line. Now, in this first box, in our first box here, we have letter E. In our first box, we have letter E. Now we are going to circle all the letter E's in the first line here, in the first row here. We circle the letter E. If a letter is not a letter E, you leave it. If a letter is not a letter E, you leave it. You only circle the letter as in the first box. And I said our first box is this one. This red letter is in the first box. Okay, let's start. Is this a letter E? No. This one is a letter F. We'll leave it. Is this a letter E? Yes. This one is a letter E. This letter is the same as the letter in the first box here, meaning we circle it. Can you circle it? We circle the letter E because it's the same as the one in the first box here. And then we move on again in the same line. Is this a letter E? No. This one is a letter C. We leave it. We go to the next one. Is this a letter E? Is this letter the same as the one in the first box, as the one in red? Yes. We circle it. We circle the E. And then the next one, this one is a letter D. You leave it. It's not a letter E. It's not the same as the one in the first box, so you leave it. Then you go to the next one. In our first box, we have letter C. You can see it's a letter C. It's a letter C. Now, if we look in our line, the first one, this one, is this letter a letter C? No, we leave it. You don't circle it. Then you go to the next one. Is this one a letter C? No, you leave it. This one is a letter E. You don't circle it. Then we move to the next one. Is this letter C? Does this letter look like the one in the first box, the one in red? Yes, this letter looks like the one in red, the one in the first box. It is a letter C, meaning we circle it. We circle our letter C. Then we move on to the next one. Is this letter the same as the one in the first box here? No. In the first box we have C, and here we have D, meaning we leave it. Then we move on to the next one. The next one, is it a letter C? Yes. We circle our letter C. Okay. Then we move on. Here in our first box we have letter A. Let's start. Is this one a letter A? Yes, this letter looks exactly the same as the one in the first box, meaning we circle it. It is a letter A. We circle it. Good. And then the next one. Is this a letter A? No, this one is a letter E, meaning we leave it. Then we move on to the next one. This one is a letter B. We leave it. It's not a letter A. And then the next one. Does this letter look like the first letter in the first box? No. This one is letter F. We leave it. Then you move on to the next one. Is this a letter A? Yes, it looks the same as the one in the first box. It is a letter A, meaning we circle our letter A. Okay. Now let's move on. In our first box here, we have letter F. This is letter F. Now, if we start with our line, is this first letter a letter F? No, this one is letter E. We leave it. Is the next one a letter F? No, this is letter T. We leave it. Is the next one a letter F? Yes, this letter looks the same as the letter in the first box, as the letter in red, meaning this one it is a letter F. Let's circle our letter F. This one is a letter F. Then we move on. Is this a letter F? No, this one is letter A, meaning we leave it. Then we move to the next one, the last one. Is this a letter F? Yes, this is a letter F. Can we circle our letter F? Okay. Then we move on. In our first box, we have letter B. 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 B for ball. Letter B. Okay. Is this a letter B? No. This is letter C. We leave it. Is this a letter B, the next one? Yes. This letter looks the same as the one in the first box, as the one in red, meaning this is letter B. Let's circle our letter B. Okay. Then we move on again. Is this letter B? No. This one is letter A. We leave it. We don't circle it. Then we move on to the next one. Is this a letter B? Yes, this is a letter B. Let's circle our letter B. Good. And this one, is this a letter B? No, this is letter D. This is D. D for dog. D for dog. This is a letter D, meaning we leave it. We don't circle it. Then we move on to the last one. This is letter D. In our first box, we have letter D. Okay, let's start. Is the first letter a letter D? No, this one is a letter A, meaning we don't circle it, we leave it. And then we move on to the next one. Is this a letter D? Yes, this is a letter D because this letter looks like this one in the first box. It looks like this letter in red, meaning this one is letter D. Let's circle it. We circle our letter D. Good. Then we move on to the next one. Is this a letter D? Yes. This letter looks again the same as this one. We just circled now and like this one in the first box. So this is also a letter D. Let us circle our letter D again. Yes. Now then we move on to this one. Is this a letter D? Does this letter look like the one in the first box here or the one in red? No, it doesn't. Meaning this one is letter E. We don't circle it. We leave it. Then we move on to the last one. Is this a letter D? Does this letter look like the ones we have circled here or like the one in the first box here? No, this one is a letter C, meaning we don't circle it, we leave it. Okay, that was our activity. I hope you were also circling with me. Alright, we have come to the end of today's lesson. Remember to keep safe, wash your hands and avoid crowded places in order to fight COVID-19. Thank you.